Hey, good day, everybody. It's Brian Terrian here from the Disability Digest, and today we're going to talk about medications or drugs, expensive ones that aren't covered or ones that perhaps are covered, and there's an opportunity to reduce the cost because you're paying for them. And we have a couple of our members here, Philip and Daphne, that have offered to provide some input on what this is, how it works, and how you can hopefully, possibly save some money, right? So let's start with like the basics, and either of you chime in on this. Like, what would be a typical situation that this pre-authorization process would apply to, where you can, likely reduce some medication costs? Who'd like to tackle that one?
Well, one example is me being a kidney transplant patient. I have anti-rejection medicines that were not, uh, they were covered, but they were extremely expensive. So I had to request what do you call it, Daphne? I can't think of the word.
Well, it
Uh,
would be just a reduction in the prices. Yeah.
Price reduction. It
Mm-hmm.
went from a tier 3 to a tier 2,
Mm-hmm.
which reduced my costs about 30%.
Okay. So for those that are listening out there, I'm just going to peel it back a little bit, and thanks for that. The drug pricing is structured in tiers. The higher the tier, the more expensive it is.
Mm-hmm.
So one, not so much, two, a little more. Philip, you had a three. Is that right? Did I hear that
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And so you moved a tier three price drug to where?
to a tier 2.
Tier two.
Yeah.
So what was, and reduced your cost by 30%. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Great example.
Actual two medications, two different medications, but yeah, they it
Mm-hmm.
it yeah, it reduced it 30%.
So if a tier three medication is around, let's say $50, right? And you reduced it by 30%, that's $15 a month, something like that.
Yes.
So $30 a month with the two of them, $400 a year. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
boom, $400 savings. Great. Okay. Well, that's good to know. So
And
what about,
it wasn't that hard to do. I mean, there was no form I had to fill out. I just called United Healthcare and requested the reduction, and that it was all done on the phone.
just like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
And the thing is that a lot of people don't know that. They don't know that they can call and actually either get a reduction or get the medication covered, period.
mm-hmm.
You know, they'll send in a prescription, or a doctor send in a prescription that's not covered in the plan. They don't know that they can call in and get it, actually get it put on the list and covered.
So this is interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
it's as simple as calling. You just call if you're on a Medicare Advantage plan, you're going to call into United Healthcare, Humana, Aetna, whoever has your plan, WellCare. That's it.
Can do that. Or
Yeah.
you can have your doctor take care of that for you.
Yeah.
Your primary care physician can take care of that for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So is there a starting point where this would be applicable to drugs? Like, is it, if somebody has a tier two, would they reduce that, which might be only like $12 a month?
Normally, it's for the more expensive drugs.
Okay.
Yeah.
And normally it's a tier 4, and you want to get it to a tier 3 so it's more affordable, or a tier 3 and you want to get it to a tier 2 so
Okay.
that you can afford the drug. Prior authorizations are normally for For me, I've experienced it for my clients, hormonal drugs, drugs that are for the hormones,
Mm-hmm.
and the drugs are not covered initially.
Mm-hmm.
So what they have to do is get their primary care physician involved to get a prior authorization from their physician to get that covered. And normally it's covered for a year. And then after
Okay.
that year, before the year is over with, they have to put in another form to see if the provider will cover it for another additional year. Sometimes they can get it approved, and sometimes the provider just will not cover it, and they will have to go to a different type of drug.
Okay. So I have up on the screen here a form that I found online, and this form will typically, the doctors will have it. Is that right?
Yeah, doctors will have it, or they can request it from the provider.
Okay. So a few questions on the drugs that are covered. You guys are really providing some super information. Are there other common drugs this would be applicable for? Like you mentioned, Philip's situation, Daphne, the one that you mentioned. Are there other ones that might apply?
It may be drugs that are new to the market that would
Okay.
apply.
Okay.
So let's say that there's a very new drug that's on the market, and a lot of doctors are not using that, right? But they may have to do a prior authorization to get that drug for the
Mm-hmm.
client to use it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another example.
Okay.
But I would say that for any drug that is not covered, uh, the client finds out that it's not covered, they need to go through their primary care physician to have the physician take care of that for them.
Um, okay. This brings me to a few more questions. There's some drugs that Medicare does not cover, that are not covered in any plans. How does that work into this? And I don't know of any off the top of my head. I'm not able to remember, but I have seen situations where people have brought this to me and I've looked them up. It says Medicare doesn't cover these drugs. So
Okay.
are you familiar with that situation? And
They could go through the company that produces the drug.
oh, okay. So instead of this strategy, they could go
Mm-hmm.
direct to the drug company.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the manufacturer,
Yeah, the manufacturer. A lot
Okay.
of times they have a program
they
that
have
the client can you
patient
know
assistance program.
use.
Aha.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's two medication insulins that I use that I get through. Both of them come from Lilly.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Exactly.
You can go directly to Lilly and
And get it
fill out,
cheaper.
patient assistance program. If you're
Mm-hmm.
approved, then
Mm-hmm.
they send
Mm-hmm.
it to you for free.
Free.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow. What,
but
I mean,
you have to meet income.
okay. That was my question. So
Yeah,
there's criteria. Like if you meet this criteria, um, income criteria. Okay.
and it's a pretty low threshold. I mean, it's not some big hoops you have to jump through to qualify.
Okay. All right. Um, back to the pre-authorization strategy. Do you have any idea if companies have different criteria for pre-authorization? So for example, let's say you're on an Aetna plan and you attempt to get a tier 3 drug reduced to a tier 2 and you're not successful. Would that mean that you would have the same result if you went to another company? Does anybody know about this?
That I don't know.
No, that I
Yeah.
don't know either.
Okay.
Because normally when I was working with the call center, Aetna was the priority. We would
Mm-hmm.
always try to get them through Aetna,
Mm-hmm.
and Aetna, the pre-authorization would always work. It's, you could call it pre-authorization or prior authorization. It would always work, at least for that first year.
Okay. Okay. Great.
Now,
Great.
the biggest problem that a lot of people had was the oxycodone that the companies or the providers start giving it to them like they used to get, and they would like say they could only get like 5 for the week or something like that.
Okay. Okay.
That was one where they were trying to get weak people off of that medication and try to get them on something else.
So they wouldn't do authorizations for that.
No.
Part of their strategy.
Right.
I understand their concept there. Good. Good. Well, so is there anything else to add to this as far as like how this could help people out? Anything you think I might have missed? And
I would say if you find that you have a medication that is not covered, get your doctor involved with it as soon as possible so that you
Yeah.
don't miss any of the dosages that you're supposed to have.
right, right. So as a general rule, if you're paying like, if you have a 30-day prescription that is over like, what would you say, $30 a month, something like that?
Mhm.
Or would it be higher than that, you think? Because that would put it into tier 3?
Yeah, we're talking about two different things. One is a prior authorization for your medication. The other one is more of a step therapy where you
Okay.
get the doctor involved with trying to get the medication at a different price level.
Okay.
So one is a tier situation. The other one is getting the medicine authorized so that the provider will provide it for you for at least that year.
Okay. And then the third would be what Philip had brought up. Come on, next step, if somebody is listening to this replay, to contact your doctor. No, actually, you should contact your Medicare provider and see if they can help you reduce this. And if you don't know what your tier is, if you're paying for it, if you're paying like $30 or more for a medication, it's definitely something that, from what I'm learning from you too, is worthy of pursuing, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, good,
Yep.
good. That's awesome. Thank you for your input. For more tips from the Disability Digest, just look for links around this video. And we'd be glad to help you out with other information that we have. Daphne, Philip, thank you so much.